Donald Trump and the Republican Party are absolutely going to lose the 2026 midterm elections. The writing is on the wall, and they are very aware that their time is coming to an end with being able to do whatever they want. If you don't believe me, look at what they are doing with their strategy. They are attempting to reheat old arguments like the COVID vaccine, holding doctors accountable when it comes to COVID things, and culture wars. Specifically, culture wars around the transgender community. We would not be seeing the two cisgender men going for the WNBA draft if Donald Trump and the Republican Party were not aware that they need to make their base angry to try to get them to turn out for them to not lose. They know they have to create a situation that makes their base excited for them to vote for them instead of deciding to stay home. Because if their base decides to stay home as Democrats are having people turn out in extremely large numbers, they're cooked.
If you're voting for Trump and you realize someone's voting for Kamala Harris, and this could just be me, but it's not about who they're voting for, it's the personality that comes with it who is voting for Kamala Harris. And I really hate saying this because I truly want all of us to get along, but I have noticed way more times than not, Democrat people are quite literally the opposite of a safe space. I know that when I'm hanging out with a Trump supporter, I can actually make jokes and actually be myself. I know that when I'm with someone who's voting for Kamala Harris, I have to walk on eggshells and constantly worry if I'm going to say something to offend them or have a meeting with HR. Republican people really just want you to live your best life. They want you to say the things you want to say. They want you to be who you want to be. We don't get offended. We don't need a trigger warning. It is not my job to change my vocabulary to fit your comfortability. It's up to you to change your reaction to something when you know I'm not trying to offend you.
I really don't get how everybody hates Trump. How everybody hates Trump, but yet he's the president of the United States. The math is not mathing to me. You ask this person or that person or that person or this person, they're gonna be like, no, I don't like him. I didn't vote for him. Cool. You get on social media, everybody hates him. But yet, he's the president of the United States. The math is not mathing. Y'all voted for that man. Y'all failed Big Sister General. Y'all voted for that man. Where his supporters at? Y'all quiet now. There's no way everybody's saying that they hate this man so much. Everybody's saying they did not vote for this man. But yet he's the president of the United States. He won. That means majority of the votes went to him. Somebody is lying. Somebody's lying. He didn't vote for himself. Well,
okay, I'm back in Canada. I'm in Montreal, and the next step is to look at apartments or short-term rentals of some sort. I think I can be here as a U.S. citizen for like 3 to 6 months without a visa, but then I need a visa after that, basically, or refugee status. I'm not sure. So I kind of have to like look at all of my options, research, and hope that things, work out and I don't have to go back to the United States. If anybody has any tips, any Americans that have done this, and also any trans people out there in Montreal, if you know any places and doctors that I can get in contact with, that would be great, because I'm running out of hormones. So yeah, all right, I'll talk to you guys soon.
We are just literally minutes away from the border to Canada as we flee the U.S.
Wait, what? You want to flee the United States for Canada? Well, from a Canadian who just moved out of Canada to America, Florida, let me show you what you're in for. First things first, you're going into a terrible economy. See, we just lost 84,000 jobs last month, the worst in years. And our unemployment rate just went up to 6.7%. 5%. Yours is at 4.4, historically low. Our housing prices compared to disposable income is off the charts. And the average house in the average city costs almost $1 million. And it looks like this. In your country, disposable income is actually more than house prices. Our GDP per capita is the worst in the G7. Yours is the best. Oh, and as of this month, we have the highest food inflation in the G7. But let's put that aside because I bet you love our Prime Minister, right? Yeah, the elitist investment banker that hasn't even lived in Canada for the past 10 years. Yeah, he's gonna fix your problems. Don't worry about it. I know. You're here for the free healthcare, right? Well, here's the thing about the free healthcare. It doesn't really work. You won't be able to find a doctor. You're probably gonna die in the emergency room. And they're gonna take 54% of your income to taxes. Look, you're fleeing the strongest economy on earth, but hey, no problem. We traded spots. See, I had a business in Canada renovating properties. I bought and sold over 150 properties, had 13 employees. I shut the whole thing down and restarted it in the US and got my visa for my entire family legally to live in the US. Now we pay way lower taxes, make way more money because the economy is 100 times bigger. And instead of gray skies for 8 months a year and snowy weather, it's 300 plus days of amazing sunshine. But don't worry about it. You're gonna love Canada. You'll see.
Whenever I make content about Americans moving to Canada, I get a lot of comments like these, pointing out how there's a lot more Canadians moving to the US. But let's look at the actual numbers. Make sure to save this TikTok so you can take a closer look. It's pretty interesting. This is recent data from Statistics Canada, and it analyzed permanent migration between Canada and the US. Note the term permanent. The orange lines represent Americans moving to Canada. You'll see that it's been steadily increasing since the 90s, whereas the blue line represents Canadians moving to the US. And you'll see since the 90s, it's been declining. But does this tell the whole story? No, because this data analyzes permanent migration. And the way that that's defined is these Canadians who are moving to the US in the blue line are those who get permanent residency in the US, aka a green card. So the number of Canadians who are moving to the US and getting a green card has been going down. But what's not captured in this data are Canadians who are going to the US on non-immigrant visas where they aren't going to get a green card. They are there working for a number of years, such as a TN visa or an H-1B. Common examples are those who are going down to work in tech, software engineering roles, or in medicine. And these are Canadians who are eventually going to move back to Canada. And it makes sense why they're going to the US. They can get paid in US dollars, potentially a lot more opportunities down in the US, higher earning potential. But the plan for a lot of these folks is always to return home to Canada. And that's the reality in Canada, unfortunately, is we do have a bit of a brain drain. Leave a comment below. What do you think we need to do here in Canada to make people stay and not have to leave the country in order to actually jumpstart their career? Have a good day.
I'm in Canada right now, and it's so crazy how nice Canadians are and how thoughtful they are and how much they process other people's emotions and trauma. So right now they have retail theft issue, they have a houseless people issue, and those people usually have mental health and addiction issues as well. So Vancouver is arguing with the federal government in Canada because they're like, yo, we need more money for addiction recovery programs and houselessness programs because they understand that that's what's causing the crime. America could never. America's just oh, you're houseless? Jail. Oh, you have an addiction? Jail. Oh, you're having a mental health episode? Pow, pow, pow by the police officers. And then to top it off, this guy that I met yesterday, he's from San Diego, but he's living in Vancouver, and he's probably going to stay here because he wants to go into a job field that's mainly contract work. And he's like, I want healthcare. So it's better for me to stay in Canada than going to America. In America, the healthcare is reserved for the rich. And then if you're not rich, you either get pow-powed by the police or you go to jail. And that's just lovely, right? Or you become houseless from your medical debt.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Now, I've been getting a lot of questions about what it's like living in Canada after moving from, United States particularly Philadelphia. And here's my perspective. First, it's like a clean slate because you're moving to a new country, things are different. The credit system is different from back home in the States. So when you come here, it's completely, clean slate credit. You have no credit, and some banks will give you the opportunity to establish them. So it is, it's an opportunity to do things the right way the first time. So that's one thing. And also it feels a lot calmer and less crime than like an inner city like Philadelphia or wherever. But I grew up in Philly, and I constantly I just got accustomed to looking over my shoulder a lot, and I kind of do that here, but in some ways I don't have to. It is crime here, but not as nearly as bad as some of these inner cities. So that's definitely something right there. Don't get it twisted. It is hard to find a job here like anywhere else. I would say if you're in the healthcare field, it's definitely for you to come here because they're very short-staffed in the healthcare field, and they're looking for people. So that's definitely something. And also, just come with degrees if you're, going to come because you need a job, and it is hard to find a job, and you definitely will want to be qualified or have a skill or have a business lined up or something like that. Now, people that want to come here, it is a process that you have to go through. Me, I came through a family class, which is, I had a spouse here already. So, married my wife in 2020. So by the time I was ready to move, and, after all the BS with the pandemic and things like that, I came here October 2024. So, yeah, that was a seven and a half month process, but it was just longer than that, just trying to get the paperwork done and things like that. So that's one way you could go, or you could just go through a work visa and try to get permanent residency from there. So, like I said, healthcare workers, you definitely need it here. But I guess that's my overview. If you have any more questions, just put it below, or inbox me or something. But I'll try to answer what I can. All right, y'all. Peace.
Can we just be honest and admit that the main problem with this whole immigration epidemic that's happening in Canada is you nasty entitled white people? Take a moment and look at my skin. I am in fact white, but do you know how embarrassing it is? I've lived in Vancouver for 3.5 months. Can't even count on my hands how many times I've heard racist remarks from people in public, yelling at people, go back to your country, you don't belong here. First of all, if you want to get really into it, you're not from here, okay? Let's start there. Let's play a little game called take an ancestry test, take a DNA test, because guess what's going to come back? Oh my God, shocking. You're from Ireland, you're from Scotland, you're from England, you're from Poland. You're not from here because Canadians don't exist. Canadians are Aboriginals. And also, we took their land many years ago. So you are also an immigrant. You came from an immigrant family. I don't care if it's 5 generations ago, 7 generations ago. Your family came here as immigrants one day. And you want to get mad at the people that are doing it in real time? The worst comment that I'm hearing is when you come to Canada, you have to embrace our culture. You have to act Canadian. What does that even mean? You have to eat poutine and beaver tails every day? Like, how about you actually go to their country and you learn something about having culture? Because we have none. My favorite comment that, they come here and they take all of our jobs. They're taking our kids' jobs. Yeah, because your kid's lazy and entitled and he wants to go to work, sit on his little TikTok phone all day, and magically get paid $20 an hour. That's not how it works. These people come here and they're hard workers. So yeah, add 2 and 2 together. It's making sense why they're taking your jobs. The problem does not lie with the people migrating to Canada. The problem lies with the people here acting disgustingly, blatantly racist, rude, and entitled. So cheers, Merry Christmas. I hope Santa brings you a better personality.